Hey everybody, this is Listengort here, and tonight I want to share with you some tips on how to learn languages. Like a lot of people who know me also are aware of the fact that I speak like 8 or even 9 languages, like kind of free. And I just want to share with you some tips on how I got to this result and what are like the basic secrets of that. Because I'm also teaching these languages. I work as a foreign language instructor, and all of my students often ask me like, how do you come to this? How do you get to this? How do you, you know, make it over in your head, like not mixing languages, and how do you do that? And I will say that maybe my attitude and my approach towards learning languages is not like a classic one, and it's not like appropriate for anybody. But still, I feel like I should share it with you. So first of all, motivation. Surely you have to have a really nice motivation, a really strong motivation to learn languages. And you should love, you should adore, you should love the music and the flow of this language. You shouldn't love someone who speaks this language, that's also okay, right? But first of all, you should like the language itself. You should love it, the way it sounds, the way it looks, the way the words are combined there, the logic of the language and the system and everything. And after you get to the point that you're in love with the language, you may say that half of the process is done. Like the way is undertaken, and like you're half the way there where you want to get, what I want to get to the peak of this mountain of language where you want to get. The second thing is that um, you know it's more about like people of Soviet ancestry, like Soviet Union epoch, and those people, they spend like 5, 7, 10, 20 years in schools and universities learning language, learning the system of language and grammar. And those people may retell you, like, even if you wake up at night, they will just explain you perfectly all the grammar, all the language, but they cannot order a coffee abroad, in this language, and they cannot speak it. And they don't quite understand it when they watch a YouTube video or something, but they're perfectly in a grammar language. So what's missing there? Speaking. Speaking and understanding. So speaking and understanding are like two basic things, and that's why we're actually learning languages. So when you learn a language, do not be afraid of mistakes, because once you are afraid to tell something wrong, the same moment you stop feeling comfortable and free about the language, and you don't want to talk because you don't want to make a mistake, and that's a big problem. Those who don't talk who don't really want to talk, they don't speak a language, usually they're really afraid to make a mistake. But you should understand once and forever that making a mistake while you're learning is okay. It is a part of the way of learning and approaching and acquiring language. All right. You ain't gonna be a spy that should speak a perfect language like right from the first day. But when someone will just catch that you're not a native speaker or something. So just relax, be yourself, go on studying, go on and like take this underway, and still don't be afraid of making a mistake. It will help you a lot. You better try speaking just as you can at this point, and then you will hear, you will learn, you will study everything. Once maybe you will, teach somebody else. And as Buddha said, if you want to master something in life, you should teach it. If you want to understand something, yeah, you may learn it. But if you want to master something, you should teach it. Teach somebody else. I've mentioned a word, acquire. So that's the point. That's the key word here, because normally people who get into foreign languages and they get really nice results there, um, those people do not learn, they do not study, they acquire a language, just like a kid acquires a language when he's little. Like, kid is supposed to be little, right? So you're acquiring a language. It means that you're making the flow, the aura, the flow, the energy of the language. You acquire this one, all right? The whole aura and like the specific, all the specific attributes of the language, you acquire them just as they are. You do not compare to your mother tongue. You do not, trying to understand with your mind, like why, what the heck is going in there? Why is it like that? Why the preposition is like after the word and like the noun is like this and plural and everything. Especially when we talk about languages like Arabic or Hebrew or Armenian or Turkish or some other, like non-standard languages which are quite standard. They are just not like English or Russian or some other like Indo-European classic, system. They're still alright. Who knows? Maybe like Semitic languages like Arabic or Hebrew, they're like more standard than Roman or French, Who knows? Anyways, you shouldn't compare, you shouldn't like be surprised by that. You should just flow with the language and you should acquire it. Um, More than that, I personally believe that if someone is really keen on any specific culture or language, like someone really adores like French culture, someone American, someone German, or like Turkish or Arabic or something, or Hindu culture, or Chinese, I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that those people, those souls, they had spoken this language before. That means that what we do now, here, today, in current life, we're not like learning, we're just remembering what we knew before. We're just reminding ourselves those languages that we had spoken before a long time ago. Might be not a long time ago, doesn't matter, because for our soul is like eternal. It's like, everything happens simultaneously. So to conclude and to sum up, I just want to remind you the main things that you have to remember about them. It's motivation. You should understand why you want to learn it, and no one should like, you shouldn't feel any pressure like you must learn. No, it's not like that. The main and the last but still not the least is fun. Learning language with a fun. The one who learns language with fun will learn it much, much faster. You know, fun approach to learning language, to acquiring language, let's say, because we already know that acquiring is much better word, much more appropriate. It's the key, all right? So learn in a fun way. Movies, music, texts on not all the texts like restaurant or ordering taxi. Texts about what you really love to do: drawing, yoga, tantra, geography, politics, international relations, something that really inspires you. That means that, like, you catch two hares at once. Like, you read about something that you really like, you want to you want to know more about it in any language. You just want to, as a human, you want to learn more about that, and at the same time you do it in a foreign language, and that's just great. That's the perfect combination. It's a win-win situation when you learn something that you really love in life, like total, like, absolutely, and you do it in a foreign language. That's the best thing to do. So motivation, right? Having fun learning language, not learning but acquiring a language, not being afraid of making mistakes, and that's it, right? That's it. Remembering your own self, remembering your eternal soul, and thinking of that. If you came up to an idea to learn a language, or like circumstances led you to a situation when you need to learn, you start to learn any language, or you met a native speaker of this language or something, or you date them or something, it means that maybe somehow on a higher level you're connected somehow with this culture, and something from the past has just reached you, and it's not only about learning, it's something spiritual, spiritual connection. So I'd be glad to answer all your questions. I just want to remind that um, Armenian, Hebrew, Russian, English, French, Spanish, Turkish, a bit of Georgian, and Arabic are the languages that I speak, and I adore each of this language. Every night when I drive like around Moscow, which happens like quite every day, um, I listen music to like in 12, at least 12 languages. You can hear a Chechen language, Circassian language. You can hear there, I don't know, Romanian, Serbian, what else? Aramaic, Chinese, Hindu, Sanskrit. I love Sanskrit because I like listening to mantras. And this mix just, some people think that I should be mixed up with that, but it works in the opposite. I feel like I feel complete after listening to music of all kind of sorts and of all kind of nations. I feel complete knowing a lot about different nations. And I don't feel comfortable when I come to another country where I am a guest, I'm a foreigner, even though I don't feel like a foreigner anywhere, because very fast, I'm like an actor, I'm interfering this one. But for me, it's not polite not to speak one or two words in a local language. Better 10 or 20 words, or better 100 words in local language. Always before any trip to a foreign place, which very fast becomes local and seems like native to me, not as native as, let's say, Tel Aviv, Moscow, New York, Paris, Yerevan, Jurmala, Latvia, and some other places on earth, or Istanbul, my favorite city. Still, I feel native and people around and everything, because you don't feel like a tourist. You just flow with this energy. The same happens to language. So that's my motivation. That's my way of life. I feel like I must learn something about this place. I must speak this language just a little bit. You know, that's what I love to do. So have a good night, and I'll be glad to answer all of your questions. It was Alexander Listengort with you from Moscow. Bye.